brokers, and dispatchers. You're tuned into the eCarrierCheck channel, where we bring you the insider tips, tricks, and insights to drive your sales and logistics business to new heights. Each week, your hosts, Jared and Nate, sit down with the top professionals in the industry, diving deep into everything from prospecting and cold calling to maintaining carrier relationships and maximizing your bottom line. Learn real-world strategies, hear success stories, and get actionable advice you can implement in your business today. So buckle up and get ready for an entertaining and informative ride. This is the eCarrierCheck channel, your source for can't-miss logistics intelligence. Stay tuned.
Hey, good morning. Happy Friday and happy Halloween, huh?
Yeah, honestly, I'm excited for today, man. It's such a great friggin' like today is wild. That's all I gotta say.
You love
what I mean?
Day.
Well, when you have young kids, you just kind of roll with it.
Yeah.
I'm on the transition out though. I was told this morning I dressed up today for really no reason.
Like they don't want to take you trick or treating.
They have no interest in me going. I can't even walk behind them and drink. I used to do that. I would literally have a coffee cup.
Yeah.
There's booze in it. Don't judge. And I would just walk behind them and have a good time, you know. And it didn't matter if it was 60 degrees or 30 degrees and snowing.
Yeah.
I was there.
Right.
But I'm on the transition out.
Yeah.
Breaks my heart.
It does. I'm sorry, man. Well,
it's okay.
You can still go trick or treating. We'll get you right.
I appreciate that, man. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
What's your favorite Halloween memory?
Oh my gosh. Honestly, just my parents would take me to kind of the rest homes and, go to the rest homes around and I got to get candy from all the, the elderly in there, and it was a good time. So, yeah, what's up going on, guys?
Hey, what's going on? How are you guys? Sorry. Wondered if you guys were dressing up when they didn't start on time.
Yeah, we were getting dressed.
My bad. It was my bad. I was on the horn, and now I'm back.
Good morning, guys.
It definitely I got to say my favorite Halloween was definitely not with my parents. He's wagging it out. That's what I love about it. Nate's gonna just sit here and twerk for the rest of the show. I got to say my favorite Halloween was not with my parents. I went out with a couple buddies of mine. We filled. This was you got to think I'm an 80s baby.
Yeah.
We filled a whole pillow sack full of candy. Full.
Hell yeah.
Full. It was ridiculous. Now we're worried about all these crazy fentanyl pills and
blades,
home things. What was your favorite treat though? What was the go-to?
Big Butterfinger guy.
Okay.
I love the Butterfingers. Second would probably be my Kit Kats. I love Kit Kats.
I love that.
And then my neighbor would actually give me money, so I love that too.
Your neighbor would give you money?
Weird.
What kind of Halloween is at your house?
No crap, I don't know, but yeah, she would give us cash, and actually, I take that back. Popcorn balls.
Oh,
the balls
were insane. Yeah, popcorn balls were good. I always liked. There was the neighbor up the street. I'm pointing like you guys even know where the hell I'm pointing. But the neighbor up the street would give, because nobody would go into his cul-de-sac because there was a spooky house to the right.
Yeah.
It was just abandoned. Nobody even knew. But no kidding, they would give out a bag of Doritos.
Yeah.
He was the Dorito guy.
That's awesome.
The Dorito truck would park at his house back in the day.
Yeah.
Now they park actually at the place. But he would give out a bag of Doritos. It was insane.
Yeah.
I love Doritos.
I love that. No, this is always kid-friendly show, baby.
Yeah.
Before we get started, I think one of my favorite things, I've actually seen this, I think it was 2 years ago, that the kids would get their candy, but the owner of the house would give out fireball shooters.
For adults or
for
what?
adults? Yeah, for adults. Only,
so
of course.
good. For the adults, you just here you go, kid. Enjoy.
That's my favorite though. So
yeah. I think the biggest one I've ever seen. The guy, we were kind of late 2 years ago. My son was 8 at that time, or I guess he'd been 9, and he gave my son an entire like the little cases of candy bars.
Okay.
He gave him the whole case.
Ones.
He was like, "I'm kind of done. Here you go."
He's fed up.
And he just gave. I think it was like, whatever comes in there, 8 full candy size. 8 full candies. So
I love that.
Morning, good morning. It's good to see everybody.
Thanks for being here, guys. We're
Happy
talking
Halloween. What's your favorite Halloween story, man? Like, just throw it in the comments. We always love to hear what you guys have to say. Favorite candy.
Never know. We might send you some candy. But I am excited to chat today, Jerry. We had a lot of questions throughout October. We haven't really done a show like this where we talk about every question that we thought that was honestly, they're all good questions.
Just relevant.
You say this all the time. There's no dumb question in this industry because you just never know what you're gonna face. But we get a lot of good questions. We put our head together and we said, okay, these are some of the best 10 questions that we got. Let's talk through some of that today. So I'm excited to see your list and ask me some questions, and we'll go from there. But
I counted it actually because people just send us emails and ask us questions, random. We got 86 questions this month.
That's a good choice.
That's a lot of friggin'. That's a lot of questions.
It is
86.
You guys got questions too? Let us know.
Reese's, Good morning, all. What's up? What's up, Jerome? What's going on, bro? Did you ever get an inspection? I love this guy.
I did too.
Can't get enough of him. We got 86 questions this month.
Yeah.
And I was like, I got to share some of these questions. And some of them you hammer out, some of them I hammer out.
Right.
We respond in a lot of different ways, but we get some wildly interesting questions. And I'm just going to read a few and then we'll kind of break in a couple, right?
Sure.
I thought some of these were kind of interesting. Would a carrier reach out? I should actually say like who their YouTube channel name is. But he was like, hey, are brokers really helping carriers or are they just middlemen taking cuts? Right? Here we go.
Yeah, we're jumping right into it.
We're going straight to the 10-foot right here. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Are digital load boards killing relationships with truckers? That's an interesting question. I don't know how many drivers are on here, but they're getting those. But here's one that I'd love to hear what your thoughts are. Because we get so many questions. You help and talk to so many different brokers. How long does it take me to get my first load once I get my broker authority? We get this question all the time.
Right.
You know what I mean? And what is the average that you see? Because we get the young, the old, the new and different. What are you seeing for first loads?
Yeah.
Average time. Brokers are people too. I agree, brother. I agree.
I'm gonna have to put you in timeout.
He's gone. He's gone. Welcome. Good to see you.
If we're talking like average, and I'm talking about someone that hopped in this industry, has never been into it.
Yep.
I've seen probably on average anywhere from 2 to 3 months. Now, this is if they're hammering the phones.
Okay.
There's your. I always think of Gabe because I remember when I first met Gabe. We talked. He just found his first company. His first shipper super quick.
Mm-hmm.
I want to say it was within a week.
It was in like a couple weeks. Yeah.
So there's the fine line where it can happen super quick, but on average, I'm thinking 2 to 3 months. And then there's some specific qualifications for certain companies to where you have to have a company or a customer within the 6 months, right? So you could either say 3 months to 6 months. I would say in that range.
Yeah.
From what I've seen.
Yeah. I would agree. I think I think people just have to be patient with themselves. Right. You know what I mean? We've seen the opposite too. Yeah. You remember that one gal? I think she was like 10 months in.
Yeah.
And she just couldn't connect. Yeah. She just struggled. It wasn't her cup of tea.
Right. Yeah.
Nice lady. Just wasn't her cup of tea. All right, let's fire off the next one. You ready? We get this a lot too. How do I get my rates, or how do I set my margin so that I'm still competitive but still profitable? Right? What would you respond to that one? For those brokers out there, how do I set my rate, or how do I set my margin so that I'm still profitable and competitive? Right?
Okay.
When carriers or when shippers are sending loads and you're bidding them back,
how are we finding the rates and how are we making the margin?
Yeah. What's the simplest? You don't have to break this down too far, but what's the simplest? What do you think's a fair percentage? And what are you seeing for getting rates back?
Yeah. Well, first off, I think that you shouldn't be expecting to make rips right away, because your customers are going to feel that. You know what I mean? And then your carriers are going to feel that as well. But personally, I think you need to start calling carriers, or people post them up on the boards. And then when you start posting on the boards and having the same carriers call in every time, I would start asking those carriers questions. Obviously this is a normal lane for you. Let's work together on this lane. But with me, I've worked from the shipper side. With you actually being on that broker seat, I don't have a percentage in mind. So I'm going to lean on you for the percentage.
That's fair.
My suggestion would be, don't expect to make fat rips.
Yeah, you're not making $1,000
$1,000 rips, right? So, and you want to take care of your carrier, because if this guy does amazing work, you better pay him what he deserves, right? And of course, I think those carriers should come to you and say, hey, this is what I can run it for. This is best for me and my company. So
yeah, I think everything is negotiable, right? If you are living on a load board, 10% above market rate, but depends on the lane. Exactly. That's such a great. It's funny you say it that way, because that's exactly kind of where I was going. Everything is negotiable. If some cat calls in and it's Chicago to Ohio or something, and $1,000 is the standard. Right. As a broker, I'm quoting like 1,075. You know what I mean? 1,085, 1,095, right? So I think right where Geezy 818. By the way, thanks for watching. He or she, I don't know if it's a guy or girl, but you at least you got the live show today. She always comments, or he always comments. He's like, I missed your show. I'm like,
thanks for being here.
So thanks for being on. But I think she kind of hit it on there. I know. You get it on there. Get it on there. Take pricing tools with a grain of salt. Always take tarps and time of month into account. Fair but honest rates. Man. I wholeheartedly agree. He did say that his first load came in 60 days.
Yeah. I could have sworn, like weeks, because he was grinding.
I could have sworn he just friggin' signed the employee handbook and then got a load.
That's what I'm saying.
he's like, all right, give me a phone.
That's all really gave you. So we don't need a computer.
Give me a phone. All right, next one. Here we go.
Yep.
What tech tools, CRM systems, TMSs actually help brokers, and which ones are just a waste of money?
I like this question.
I think this is an interesting question.
It's George. What's up, George? So here's my 2 cents with this.
Oh, it's George.
Yeah.
That's freaking George. I didn't know that. I didn't know Geezy's 818 is George. What's up?
Do you have 2 accounts?
I don't know.
But here's my 2 cents on this, because obviously we talked to a lot of newer brokers.
A lot of new brokers.
They don't have the cash flow right away.
Yeah.
So I always tell them, when it comes to CRM, you can use an Excel sheet.
Yep.
And then once you get to that point where you really need more help, or throwing in your CRM, all that flow, then let's look into one. Do you have a CRM in mind that you kind of recommend?
HubSpot's free. There's a free version.
So there's free versions.
Yeah, there's free versions of CRMs out there. You know what I mean?
That's good. That's good to know. And then you talked about what was your other one? You had some
tech tools, CRM, TMSs. Which ones actually help and which ones are a waste of money. I think in today's world, I think you have to have some kind of vetting tool.
Yeah.
There are so many scammers out there. If you're just kind of flying by the seat of your pants because you like the guy, it just doesn't work that way anymore. You know what I mean? You really need to be able to vet people.
Right. And we have a free vetting tool.
We do have a free vetting tool on our site, and it's pretty accurate, to be honest with you. There are some crazy new there's some crazy new things that are going on in the scam and fraudulent world that you honestly, even like the huge platforms like Highway or some of those bigger ones, they're missing as well, just because of how they're going about doing things, which is unfortunate, right? You know what I mean?
Right.
So,
and honestly too, if you are looking into tech like this, what we're talking about, demo it. Like, I don't know if every company has a demo.
They should.
But I think you should demo it to see if it's good for you, good fits. Obviously, look into pricing, but I'm a big demo guy, so I always ask for a demo.
Gabe said something about take pricing tools with a grain of salt.
Yeah.
I wholeheartedly agree with that. Okay. I think pricing tools, we've had a couple different ones. Some of them are pretty decent and pretty accurate, and some of them you just need to talk to somebody running that lane. Right. You know what I mean? Because all of a sudden, I just talked to...
Especially if it's more than one stop.
Yes, exactly. If it's a multi-stop and things like that. So I agree with this. I think the only way to get really good pricing is to actually talk to somebody running these lanes and vetting them.
eCarrierCheck.
Is it illegal or okay for dispatch services to act like a broker, and what's the difference? I think this is a wild question. You know what I mean? because of the uprise in dispatch services going overseas. Carriers need help finding loads because loads go so quickly.
Right.
Carriers are also under the squeeze that we all are feeling with, everything costs more money. The insurance is up, tires are up,
Right.
the equipment's up,
Right.
maintenance is up. Those shops make so much money, right? And so them wanting somebody to go out and help them find loads is not a terrible thing, right? I mean, there's a reason dispatchers have come along. Right.
So walk me through this, because we've had dispatchers say, hey, I'm going to contact shippers, and they're not brokering, they're dispatchers. Right. So walk me through, if you are going to dispatch and try and do this, like, what's the best way of doing it so that way it's legal?
Yeah, I mean, a couple thoughts. First off, if you're a dispatch service, it's a business, right? You still have to have a tax ID, right? Now, you don't have the same insurance as a broker, but you do need to run in a legal manner, right? You shouldn't be reaching out to shippers. You don't have, if there's a claim and you're a dispatcher, you're just going to shove it back on the carrier. There's not really there's no insurance that's properly covering you. You know what I mean? Right. So it'd be like hiring a painter that's just a buddy of yours that's just going to come in and smash some paint. But what if he ends up putting paint on your walls and it's, it makes you glow at night? You know what I mean? Now, they don't sell that paint at Stars anymore, except for there is some glow in the dark paint I got for the kids. It's wild. But as far as a dispatch service, you can't go out and marry shippers to carriers. It doesn't work that way. You're an administrator for carriers, for billing, for finding loads, things like that. And so there's definitely a fine line. I know the FMCSA came out last year and said, hey, we're going to make dispatchers get insurance and act as though they're a broker. And then your cost of entry is way different. The reason why the cost of entry there's so many dispatchers, the cost of entry is nothing. If you don't go out and just create a company, you could just start. Right now, there's some tax issues that may come up, right? From just starting a business, right? And so the cost of entry for a broker is a whole much higher. You've got to get authority, you got to get a bond, you got to get insurance. There's so much more to it, right? Nothing wrong with dispatch service, but there's definitely a huge difference in my opinion. So can I ask shipper face to face? What kind of questions can I ask a shipper face to face? This is a great question. By the way, what's up, brother? Are you a broker or are you a carrier? I love this because I'm such a fan of going out face to face.
Yeah, you are.
And I think, first off, a lot of people can't find me because I am Waldo today. I'm just kidding. We should go do cold calls in these outfits and just see where it goes.
Face to face?
Face to face. Just walk in and be like, hey, what's up, bro? I think the first thing that just asking them is just, stay genuinely curious and use open-ended questions. Who, what, when, where, why, how, tell me about, right? But I think what's probably more important here, when you're face to face, I really want you to walk in with confidence. It looks like you're a good looking guy. It looks like you got a nice button up shirt, right? People are going to be able to see that real quickly. If you're confident, if you're things like that, and then just genuinely be curious. Is there one specific question that you can be asking them? Tell me how your freight supply chain works, or how are you finding trucks, or just go into what are 3 things that you don't like about your system currently, right? But I tell you what, when you walk in, show confidence, have a list of questions ready, and we could give you a million questions. I think it just makes a huge difference in today's market. Those in-person calls are everything.
Well, I like when you say, stay curious.
Yeah.
When you stay curious, that makes the questions all about them, and they're going to most likely open up about that.
Yeah.
You're talking about them.
Yeah.
So I like when you stay curious, it helps you just form better questions.
Yeah. We're not.
Yeah,
exactly. We're not having an MBA style questions here. We're just talking about, hey, how is your supply chain working today? What are the most challenging things with the trucks that are showing up in your lot today? What struggles are you having?
And talk me through, what if they have their own trucks? We had that situation yesterday where the broker was calling 2 companies. They're like, actually, we have our own trucks. We actually do this ourselves.
Yeah. I think I actually love when you walk into somebody that has their own trucks, because there's a limitation to that, right?
Mm-hmm.
A, what if drivers are out sick? B, what if it's too far outside of what they're feeling comfortable with?
Mm-hmm.
A lot of the people that have their own trucks are running day cabs, right? They're
Right.
200-300 miles in and out every day, right? What if something is 400-500 miles?
Yeah.
It's outside of their network.
Right.
And so asking questions around that, just saying, hey, is there a sweet spot that your trucks stay in? What happens during holidays, vacations? Is there some overflow that I can be helping with or get set up so that I can, start to find carriers that make the most sense for you, right? Even asking questions of curiosity. Yeah. Even asking like, Ariel, like asking questions about, what those personal visits are so important nowadays. Yeah, it's everything. It really is. Ariel, asking even like, hey, what technology has changed the way you ship your product out today? You know what I mean? Like, do they have a WMS, or do they like a warehouse management tool, or do they have, some kind of tech? Like, how do they vet their carriers now? Are you working with a group of carriers and brokers? Those are some of the questions that at least allow you to understand how they think, what they're thinking, what they do. What's interesting is those guys or gals that have become shipping managers, and they've sort of just taken on the habit of their predecessor, right? They've just taken on the guy that's next. It's like, hey, like, what do we do next, right? And so some of these shipping managers just have sort of some bad habits that were maybe 3 or 4 years old, right? Where how are you keeping up? And I think this is where you become the expert or the consultant type is, how are you keeping up with scams and fraudulent activity right now as a shipping guy of this type of product? You know what I mean? Those are some questions. Boy, then you're starting to get into things that make them think and go, shit, I don't know. How are you doing it? And then you explain to them how you vet carriers or how you find carriers or the processes that you have, right? So asking questions around issues and then hitting just a quick statement of, here's how I do it, right? And then just, hey, what requirements are you having your brokers send in these, with your carriers currently, right? Those things like that are just so important so that you can get intimate and curious about just how they do things. Right. You know what I mean?
I like that too, because let's say if you, I mean, you can do this for almost anything, but let's say you're calling shippers that just do like roofing material, right? Well, you start to learn about how they do things, and then you go talk to another company that does roofing materials. I think that kind of helps you just ask even better questions that second time, and then going on. So I kind of like how some people do that. Like they kind of stick to one, either if it's commodity or something of that nature. But yeah, you can definitely learn a lot when you start staying curious and
absolutely
those questions, man.
Ask just even starting off like simply, just simply, hey, tell me what the average size of your load is. That answer will give you a lot. It'll tell you, are they doing LTL? Is it truckload? Well, normally my loads are 80 foot long. Okay, well then you're gonna have to get stretch trailers, right? So there's things that question and answer can kind of let you down another rabbit hole so that you can kind of get into that, right? So
I like that.
what time we got time for a couple more here. How do you get a contract versus spot market?
That's a good one.
I love this one. We get this all the time. Like everyone's like, I just want to get contracts. We all do.
I think you continue to stay curious, right? You ask them I guess this is where you want to kind of jive in, but I would definitely stay curious is that something you would want to ask them? Say, hey, do you guys normally just do contracts, or do you guys have a load board? Do you guys email loads? Do you guys have a spreadsheet you guys, throw loads on that we have to bid on? How would you go about that with getting a contract?
Yeah, I think this is probably one of the most interesting things. I walk pretty much every morning, right? And I would say that I find more money than anybody else in the entire world. I find dollars, 20s. I've never found anything more than a 20.
If you find 100 in front of my house, that's fine.
That's yours. It's yours. But I found a lot of cash.
Yeah.
And the reason why is it's simple enough. The reason why is that simple old. Do you remember the Tony Robbins thing? He's like, I want you to look around the room and I want you to look for everything red. Look for everything red. Look for everything red. Look for everything red. Now I want you to close your eyes and I want you to remember everything that's blue. right? And the reason why you don't notice anything blue because we're looking for red, right?
Right.
And then that same thing goes for spot market or contract. Is the questions that you're asking are different, right? You're looking for freight, but you don't even know what kind of freight you're looking for. You in some particular cases, shippers aren't big enough to really have contract freight, right? But in some particular cases, the bigger they are, or the specific space that they're in, reefers, those guys always have contract rate, right? They have something, a quarterly bid or whatever it may be, but you got to ask the right questions to get there, right? And so for those people, those brokers, those carriers that are looking for something that's different than spot market, you got to start looking for it. I find 20s, 10s, 5s, 1s consistently. I bet I found about, this year alone, I've found over $100.
That's awesome.
It's because I'm looking for it, which is a terrible thing. I shouldn't be looking for money when I'm like trying to walk. But what do you do? But in your sales process, my recommendation is to start asking questions. And sometimes shippers don't even know what they're in, right? If they're a small shipper, they have no idea. Yeah, I bid it out to about a couple brokers. I suppose it's just spot market freight, right? But if you're calling a shipper and just saying, hey, how do you organize trucks on a quarterly basis, and how do you alleviate fuel as it's going up? And they'll be like, oh, we use spot rate, or we use contract, right? So what my recommendation is to just start to look for what you want. I don't know if there's a right or wrong answer. I know brokers that look at TQL, right? They do millions, hundreds of millions of dollars in freight. And I would assume that a large percentage of their book of business is just spot market, right? So kind of keep that into consideration as you're going, right? George hit it on the head. Ask them how frequent the shipments are, and if you can guarantee a rate, could you service them? Exactly. You know what I mean? Jim Davis, what's up, brother? You haven't had Jim on for a while.
Yeah, what's up, Jim? How does a broker be vetting new carriers? How does ECC offer to assist and reduce the risk of doing business with a fraudulent carrier?
Yeah. All good questions.
Yeah. So
these are good questions.
Yeah, Jim, we offer obviously the risk radar, right? So we have a risk radar. We are able to show you if any changes that a company did make. We show you if they had inspections within the last 12 months. But I always tell people, we're not the end all be all. If you have a gut feeling that you're hiring a bad carrier, don't use them. And carriers, same thing with broker. If you have a feeling you're working with a bad broker, don't take that load.
Yeah.
So it goes both ways. We don't have a risk radar on brokers, but if you're a carrier on eCarrierCheck, you could sure flag those brokers on your own and say, this guy didn't pay me, or he whatever, right?
Yeah.
They didn't give me enough information on the load, which resulted in me dropping another load that I was supposed to pick up that day, right? So it goes both ways. But we do offer a really good risk radar, just to kind of help you make really good decisions if you should be working with this guy or not. So Jim, if we need to circle back, man, let me know. We can circle back and do some demos and kind of catch up too. We haven't talked in a while.
Oh, what's really nice too, just for the sake of it, is we show what the FMCSA is showing for insurance versus what they send in. I think there's some interesting things around. The tall tail is like, I know like Highway, they connect to ELDs, and they do some, hey, this carrier doesn't normally get in California, so maybe you shouldn't be using them. And then there's like Genlogs. Those guys are good. Like all these guys are good, right? Everyone's got an interesting vetting tool. But I, honestly, I like Googling their insurance company and looking them up and calling them, running credit on carriers. The tall tail is like, are they in a good financial position or not? A lot of carriers, man, I mean, tell you what, a lot of carriers are almost in the same line as kind of where brokers are at. Some of the credits starting to leak up or leak down, whichever direction you want, because they're starting to struggle a little bit more with cash flow, right? So, this is such an interesting question, and I don't know if there's one size fits all sort of situation, because the big guys that are spending millions of dollars are having some of the same issues that we are. And they're not on a Halloween show looking as amazing as we are. So I'm just throwing that out there. But it does look like Jerome finally got an inspection, level 2, and passed. This is what I'm talking about. I love that. You treat yourself to a granola bar today. I love that. This is such a win. This cat's been grinding forever. What would be a good response to a shipper who said they only deal with asset-based brokers when you're a broker that's not an asset-based? This is a wonderful question. I love that. there's a couple shippers that have this. I called a couple when I was as a broker, and I dealt with this a lot. They were like, no, you have to be an asset based and a broker, and then you can broker our freight, but you have to have assets. And is there much to say around that other than the reason why they like the fact that they have assets is that they have at least some trust that they have some skin in the game. And if things fall apart, guess what? They can actually go to them and say, well, can't you send one of your own trucks? Right? So Jim, my thought would be is that we haven't built up enough trust with this guy. And this isn't a 1 call stop, 2 call stop, 3 call stop. You've got to start building trust with this guy in a further way. If this is one of those shippers that you really want, you need to go out and visit them. You need to keep consistent with building trust, because their trust level of people like you, no assets. I'm just kidding, Jim. I just wanted to mess with you. It's friggin' Friday, Halloween. Damn it, laugh, Jim. No, I'm just kidding. But honestly, like, you got to build trust, right? There's a reason why they're at the same concept. Is they want assets and brokers, but they feel that they're like, well, hey, if they have assets, they can bail us out. They also, in some particular cases, may be looking for something. The reason why the one shipper that I can think of right off the top of my head that had this issue is they actually wanted to get inventory out of their actual supply chain by the end of each month so that they could do their books differently because of the amount of inventory they had. And if you didn't have assets, you weren't able to come in, spot 5 trailers, get them all out before the end of the month, and so they could close those things. So there could be other questions that you could be asking, such as, hey, I understand you need a shipper or you need a broker with assets. Is there a reason that you do that specifically around inventory control or your supply chain? And then you can at least let them know that you understand why it's important of having the broker-based asset, right? Or assets with a brokerage authority. So keep building trust, Jim. I really feel like if this is one of those shippers, you just got to go and keep going. So being non-asset based allows your client to have a larger network of carriers, almost unlimited. There's a certain number of carriers that only go so far. Yeah, I wholeheartedly agree there, George. It just sometimes they have these weird stipulations in place because of inventory or things like that. So wonderful questions from everyone
great
today.
Questions, honestly.
We could go on for, I got literally 10, 20 questions here to continue to go on, but it's been a great show. It's been an incredible Halloween. I'm going to go just smash as many nerds like ropes that I can.
I love it.
And enjoy the rest of my Halloween.
Yeah.
So,
well, I appreciate you putting these questions together, Jared. And I appreciate the questions we got today.
Yeah.
So I appreciate you guys for being here. Have a great weekend. If you have some time next week and want to connect with us, reach out to us.
Yeah.
We're available. We'd love to just kind of see what you're doing.
Send us questions.
If you're curious on what eCarrierCheck can do for your company, let's do a demo. We don't charge for anything. We want to help you guys. So, or if it's not eCarrierCheck related, let us know how we can help you in your business.
We don't care. We're here.
You guys, thank you so much again. We hope that you guys have a great night. Go get some candy.